In a little bit more than a week, we are headed back down to Las Vegas with the UglyTruck with one goal in mind: to reset our personal best and run a 10-second quarter-mile pass and hopefully not scatter the stock 8.1 big block all over the place. That's kind of like my goal, 10s on the stock bottom end. And since we were at the track last, we have made a few changes which are going to help. The big one is the converter. We had that pulled out and restalled to hopefully put a little bit more of that big block torque down to the ground. We also lightened up the interior by about 100 pounds. Then finally, we changed the exhaust, which also lost, I think, 40 pounds. But there's one last thing that I want to take care of, which I think could be contributing to the truck running just a little bit rough. Now, at first listen, it definitely sounds like the truck could be knocking. And I'm not saying it isn't, but I think there's some other electrical things going on which could cause some issues with combustion. Namely, we have a voltage drop, and also we have plugs with a gap that's a little bit too wide. So today we're going to correct a lot of that stuff, and we're also going to fix the one thing that bugs me more than anything. Like, fixing the performance issues, of course, is important, but then it's stupid little stuff like my exhaust rattles on my fender, which keeps me up at night. So we are also going to take care of that today. And when we're done, the UglyTruck will be able to leave the shop, and it's not coming back in until we've run a 10. Alrighty, to get started today, we need to make 2 different stops because I'm not prepared and I should have got the stuff before. All right, 1 stop down, 1 more to go. All right, got what we need. Well, I actually kind of jumped the gun just now. I went out and I bought an alternator, but then as soon as I got home, I started thinking, and in the long run, it's not going to be the solution to my problem. I think I'm on the right track, but I need something a little bit bigger and better. Voltage drop. That's kind of the issue that I'm chasing right now. Whenever I was out on the street the other day doing my quick pull, I happened to take a glance at the boost gauge, or the voltage gauge, as we were doing a pull. And as soon as we got to about 10 PSI of boost and the little hob switch right here closes up, it activates the second fuel pump. Well, our voltage gauge dropped from like 14 something down to 11.5 or so, which means our electrical system is not keeping up with the demands that we're placing on it currently. So I went out and I bought a better alternator. This is a 145 amp version that comes on like, say, an 03 Escalade, and it's more powerful than the 105 amp version that's currently on the truck. This is from the 5.3 that was originally in the UglyTruck when we first did the 8.1 swap. Now 145 amps is obviously stronger than 105, but in the long run, it's still not going to be enough, because whenever we put the new big motor in, this 535 solid roller big block is going to be powered by some Holley smart coils. It's going to have the Dominator EFI on there. We still will have the dual electric cooling fans. And as far as the fuel pumps go, I'll probably have to add a third, or I'll have to add like one of those big, massive inline brushless pumps. So our current capacity, or demand, I guess you'd call it, is going to go up and probably exceed what this guy will be able to support. And then on top of that, there's the price, including the core charge. That's $300. Someone actually had in stock a 240 amp Mechman alternator for $425. So $125 more, and that will pretty much power everything I'm going to need on this truck. Obviously, I don't have a big stereo in here or anything like that, but you know, all those things are going to add up. So that's not going to cut it. We'll send this guy back, and the Mechman one will be here probably Tuesday, and I'll still be able to get it installed on the truck before we go down to Vegas at the end of next week. So that changes my plan slightly for today. I'm going to continue along, though. We're going to put these new plugs in, get the gap tightened up, and then if I have time, we're going to build a little bracket to kind of stop my exhaust rattle problem that is ever so annoying. Nice. case anyone's wondering, I run BR7EFs. Same plug as we got here, just we're going to tighten up the gap a little. These are still probably good. So let's start a debate. Do you guys use anti-seize on the spark plug threads or no? I always have. I've always been taught to do that. I know a lot of people swear that you're not supposed to, but I've never had a problem running anti-seize. I've never had like a plug back out or anything like that. So let me know what you think. All right, so we got the spark plugs in. I did a quick test fire on the engine. I also got the 2 pipes on the exhaust welded together because that rattling drove me absolutely crazy. But just tying the 2 pipes together kind of strengthened everything by quite a bit. I did also take some time to adjust the hole and make sure the pipes were centered. So hopefully that'll eliminate any noise because that kind of stuff just drives me crazy. Can't stand it. But it's also my lucky day. We got the alternator in in one day. Today is Saturday. I ordered it just yesterday afternoon. The warehouse for Summit's just apparently a few miles down the road in Nevada. We're up here in Utah. So yeah, it's here. I got to say, it's a pretty cool looking alternator too. I love this kind of satin semi-gloss black. It's a 250 amp model, but if you look on the back here, apparently it puts out a tiny bit more than that, 288 amps, which is awesome. That should handle any of the electrical demands that this truck will have moving forward. So let's get that on really quick. I didn't realize there was one more wiring change we were going to have to make. They include this little jumper harness, and they say in the instructions that even though if your harness plugs in, you still have to get this guy installed with an extra switch 12 volt lead going to that wire there. So not a big deal. I happened to poke around real quick and I found an unused section of the wiring, this pink guy right here that supplies 12 volts from the fuse panel and stuff like that. So we'll get that tied into the alternator on the new wire. And yeah, we'll get it on there. I also probably need to get a belt just because the one that's on there now is really old. And I checked, the diameter of this pulley is actually a little bit smaller than the one that I have on there now. But by the way, pulley and alternator speed, this part number here, they do say it's suitable for high RPM use. Some of the Mechman alternators are not. They say specifically on the website, you know, not for high RPM or racing, but this one says it is good for that. So yeah, this thing is going to be probably the last alternator this truck ever needs. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So let's get it on real quick. All right, guys, the install of the new Mechman alternator went really smoothly. It took me like 30, 45 minutes. I'm not done yet. I still do need to clean up some of the wiring, like that little yellow signal lead. I am going to get that braided up. I did a couple of tests just to make sure there's no excessive resistance on the ground or the charging circuit, and that all passed. And the other good thing is this alternator sits up slightly higher than the other one does, I believe, because now if you look at the marks on the tensioner body, we are smack dab in the middle of the range, which is awesome because before we were on the loose side. So I am going to go at some point probably tonight, I'll go get a new belt and new tensioner pulley just to have it all fresh on there. But at least now I know the length that we have on there is perfect. So yeah, we have now plenty of voltage. We have a tighter spark plug gap. And I hope that that will solve some of those noises that I was hearing in the track. I don't think it was knock. I know it kind of sounds like that, but just because of the voltage drop that I saw, I I think potentially it could be a misfire type issue, but either way, now we'll have plenty of current for our needs now and anything in the future. Whether I want to add, say, an electric fan on a transmission cooler or an engine oil cooler, I've already got dual fans on the radiator. We'll have dual or triple fuel pumps. No matter what I do with a total of 288 amps of output from this alternator, it's going to get us covered. Just future wiring notes, when I redo the engine bay, I am going to probably add a heavier gauge wire from the alternator to the battery. We will relocate the battery and do a bunch of other cleanup work. But yeah, this is like the alternator that is going to last me for everything that I need. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Come back soon and wish me luck, please, because this truck needs to run a 10. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, I know it's going to do it.